for coming. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thanks. So what are we talking about today?
I have recently been in contact with my older brother, and that's kind of been a little difficult for me to handle. Um, when I was in seventh grade, he left my family because he lived at home and he's moved out several times, but this time he came back, and so he was staying on our couch, and he left because he decided that his next fix was more important than being home with my family. And as a 12-year-old, that really hurt, and so I've been processing. Very recently, I've come to the knowledge, the enlightenment that I have these feelings of abandonment toward my brother, and I kind of project them onto people, and so I'm trying to work through those, but it's also like he's come back and he wants a relationship with my family, which is all well and good, and he seems like he is doing better. I mean, he's got a family of his own now, but it's like I don't know. I don't know. It's brought up a lot of different things, and I'm having a hard time processing.
It sounds like your brother leaving when you were younger brought up or brought upon you a lot of different emotions.
Mm.
And now that he's back, those feelings are coming back again.
Yeah. Like anger. I was angry at him for a long time. Like I said before, the abandonment, like I, and that kind of bled into my relationship with my parents because I'm a verbal processor, which I guess is why I'm seeing a therapist and I'm able to talk about this. And so I wanted to be able to talk about it with my parents, but they were going through it too. So I didn't want to burden them with what I was going through. So I kind of just, I guess, dealt with it the way I could, which was I talked to a couple of my friends about it, or I didn't talk about it because my mom told me that I wasn't allowed to. And then so I just shoved it down and I moved on with my life. But I guess that subconsciously manifested itself in the feeling of abandonment that I've projected onto my guy friends. And so like whenever my best guy friend, he mentioned going on a trip, and automatically my heart sank through the floor. Like, don't leave, please stay, come back. Which, I felt like a little 12-year-old girl again, and I'm like, I'm a grown woman, I'm in school, I have responsibilities, and I don't like feeling like a 12-year-old emotionally. Also anxiety, like, can I trust you? If I open myself up again, can I trust you? Like, are you just gonna throw it back in my face again like you did before?
Definitely. So it sounds like your brother kind of left this hole inside of you.
Mm.
And now, as an adult, it's hard for you to feel like you're having adult relationships because if a person leaves, even just for a trip, you kind of go back to when you were 12 and he left.
Mm-hmm.
Have you talked to your brother about this? Now that he's back in your life?
Not yet. Not really. I don't feel like I'm ready, but I also know that it does need to happen. I am more worried about, I guess, having to relive it, and I don't want to hear his excuses, because that's another thing I'm afraid of, is that, like, if I bring it up, he'll be like, oh, well, I did this because this happened, or I did this because this happened, and I really don't want to hear his excuses. I kind of just want him to listen to how it affected me. And I feel like because we're both adults, I can look at him and be like, look, I just want you to listen for right now. And when we first started talking, which was actually really nice, as scary as it was, the first night we talked on the phone, we talked for 2 hours. So it's not like I don't want a relationship with my brother. I really honestly do. I miss having him in my life. He's missed so much of my life. I invited him to my graduation in December. Like, I do want him around. And the first night we talked, he told me, he was like, we do need to talk about things. And I automatically shut down. I was like, I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't. I don't want to. He's like, I know, not right now. But I just want you to know that when you are ready, I'm ready too. And no, I'm not going to like what you have to say. And no, I don't want to hear what you have to say because it's going to hurt me. But I know that we do need to talk about it. And so he knows that what he did affected me negatively. And he's not thinking about that.
How'd that make you feel when he told you that?
It made me feel like he's actually making an effort and that maybe I should be a little bit more trusting. Cause I don't feel like in the past he would have wanted to hear my side and have wanted to talk through everything with me. It made me feel like I could trust him. Still leery about that, but it definitely made me feel like he's not who he was back when I was 12. He's grown up and yes, he has screwed up in his life, but haven't we all? And so that made me feel like I was able to eventually have that conversation with him.
Good. And have you talked to your parents about all of this since you've been an adult?
Not really. Not really. My relationship with my parents, like I said, the feelings of abandonment kind of bled into my relationship with my parents because as I was going through everything, I really did need my parents there with me and for me, and I didn't feel like they were able to be there. And they don't speak my love language. I don't know if you've heard of love language. But I'm a words of affirmation person, and so my dad is acts of service and my mom is quality time. So we all don't really speak each other's love languages. So it's as an adult, it's been difficult for me to acknowledge that, like, no, they don't speak my love language, but I'm trying to speak theirs, they're not speaking mine, and then like because when I was younger, I didn't feel like they were there for me the way I needed them to be there for me. Like they were always there. They're not bad parents at all. But they weren't there for me the way I needed them to be there. And so that's kind of, as I've grown into an adult, it's kind of like I've just learned how to function on my own emotionally, even though I really do want my parents to be there for me.
So when your brother left, the issues that you were going through then with that were made deeper, I suppose, by your parents also kind of shutting down. And you didn't have the support system that you needed to go through your losing your brother. Do you think what you're going through right now, do you think talking to them now would help kind of have closure?
It might. It probably. If I was able to sit down and just kind of process. My family is very, if we sit down and have a conversation, it's not a conversation. My parents are very authoritarian. So I'll start off a conversation and it turns into a delegation of, well, you need to feel like this and we're right and you're wrong. And because I have two younger siblings, I feel like they have a hard time switching gears from, she's not 11, she's not 4, which is how old my brothers are. She is 22. And we need to talk to her like she's 22 and have that adult conversation with her. And I know that because of the way that I react to them sometimes when they do wind up doing that, it is not very adult. I will be completely honest.
No, I totally understand where you're coming from. I have a younger sister and we're about 11 years apart. And I agree with you. I think sometimes it's hard for parents to kind of switch gears when they have an adolescent child and an adult child. Sometimes it's hard to turn that switch.
Yeah.
So I know how you feel.
Makes me feel better. So I would like to sit down and talk with my parents about it. And I mean, my mom actually is one that was like, Annie's here, she wants to talk to you, and handed me the phone. And of course I was like, wait, what are you doing? super awkward. And every time before that, my mom or my dad would be talking to Troy on the phone. That's my little brother's name, Troy. And my mom would be like, "So do you want to talk to him?" And I'd be like, I would always honestly say, I don't even know where I would start. And that's the honest truth. I don't know where I would start. And she said, well, hi would be a good place. And I said, okay, yeah, you're right. But I was always afraid to take that step because I was afraid to face him because I was trying to self-preserve and self-protect. So if I didn't see him, or not even see him, if I didn't talk to him on the phone, he wasn't able to hurt me.
After all these years, you've kind of gotten into a self-protective mode. It kind of sounds like you don't want to risk something, not knowing what the outcome would be.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yes, exactly. And it's bled into my other relationships with friends, and with other things, and it's hard to be able to trust people because of what happened, because I was burned so badly. Because my brother was my world. I looked up to him. I wanted to be him. But once my mom finally handed me the phone, I guess that's what it was. I couldn't bring myself to say I do want to talk to you. My mom kind of threw me in the deep end, which I needed.
How did that make you feel after the fact?
After talking to him, really happy, because it was like I finally had my older brother. I'm a nerd, and so we talked about superheroes. He's like, "Oh, have you seen this movie? Have you seen this movie? Are you gonna go see this movie? What's your idea, or what do you think about the way they did this in this movie based on this character in his comic book and all of this?" And it was really cool to see that, like, as I grew up, I still had things in common with my brother. Like, we weren't totally, completely different people.
Right, you still had that connection that you had before he left.
Yeah, and that was really cool. It was really cool. And that made me realize that maybe there is hope that we could rekindle our relationship. Since that conversation, I've gotten my own phone. I didn't have my own phone before, so I couldn't, like, text him or whatever. So I've been texting him about, like, if my parents make me upset or whatever, I'm like, "Oh, mom and dad did this," and he's like, "Well, they just do it because they love you." And he's an adult now, and he's actually thinking like an adult because he was an adult when he left. But it's nice to have that opinion now that he has his own kids. He's able to say, "Mom and dad really do love you, and they're acting this way because they love you." And so it's cool to have that, be able to have that relationship with him again, or even start to have that adult relationship with my brother. And I did invite him to my graduation, and he was like, "I have missed everything else in your life. I'd really like to be a part of that." And I was like, "I really want you there." So I'll actually be able to hopefully meet my niece and my two nephews. And my sister-in-law. I finally have a sister. I'm the only girl, so I have a sister now, so that's kind of cool.
That's really cool.
And I did, God's been working on my heart, and I was able to call him up one day out of the blue, and I almost started crying, but I was like, I do forgive you for everything that happened. And I feel like once that happened, a lot of my anxiety and fear left, because Jesus died on the cross for me. Like, why should I hold a grudge against you? Because you're a flawed human being, but we're all flawed human beings. So it's definitely, now I'm starting to realize, I guess, the feelings of abandonment are worse than I thought they were, because I buried them for so long, and so now they're starting to manifest themselves in ways that are not healthy.
Yeah, so now that you are kind of reconnecting with your brother, you're able to see just all the areas in your life were affected by your brother's actions. And now it sounds like you're taking steps, though, to kind of not only rebuild that connection with your brother by inviting him to your graduation, but also addressing the issues that you now face in the other areas in your life. It sounds like you're taking good steps.
They're scary, but they're there. Baby steps.